Hi there. I'm Phil Gusson, faculty advisor for College of the Canyons Model United Nations team.
I'm Victoria Dangtumda, Section of COCMUN 2020.
Hi, I'm Colin Schneier. I'm part of the staff.
Hi, I'm Avisa. I'm part of the COCMUN staff.
Hi, I'm John. I'm also part of the COCMUN staff.
Hi, I'm Cynthia. I'm also part of the COCMUN staff.
Hey, I'm Sergio. I'm part of the COCMUN staff as well, and I don't have a computer on my laptop. Or camera, I mean.
This is the introduction for the delegates who are going to be the UNSC. Now, the UNSC is going to be using 3 programs. We're going to be using Zoom, Discord, and Google Docs. And it's important for delegates to familiarize themselves with each of these before the conference. During the conference, delegates should have Zoom and Discord open. For some people, it's easier to have Zoom open on one device, a PC or a laptop or a phone, and Discord open on another. Others prefer to have both applications open on the same device, and they move back and forth between them. The key is to experiment with how you want to do it with your teammates before the conference to find out which configuration works best for you. We're going to make the Discord server, where we're going to be hosting COCMUN 2020, available to delegates ahead of time so that they can get familiar with Discord and work through any technical issues they might have. We strongly encourage you to practice with your teammates moving back and forth between the applications, and we'll be posting more information about how Discord is going to be set up. But if you have any questions, you can always email us at our tech team at COCMUN. In terms of Zoom, formal sessions are going to take place in Zoom. Zoom is basically going to be the committee room, like in a regular conference. Now, when a delegate logs into Zoom, they're going to be prompted to provide a password. Your faculty advisor or your head delegate will provide you with a Zoom password ahead of time. Please don't share it with anybody else. When you log into Zoom, you're going to be placed in a waiting room until the host, part of the staff, contacts you to verify who you are. The host will be a member of the tech team. It may actually be somebody who's here right now. Along with the Zoom password, your faculty advisor or head delegate is going to provide you with a unique COCMUN generated password. When you provide the host with the COCMUN password, you'll be allowed to enter into the main room in Zoom. Once you enter into the main room, you should stay logged into Zoom for the duration of the conference. If you have to log out for some reason, when you log back in, you'll wind up back in the waiting room and you'll have to wait for the host to contact you and let you back into the room. We'll also be using Discord. Now, in order to participate fully in the conference, you're going to need to download Discord. We'll send you the link. We describe Discord in more detail a little bit later in the video. When you download Zoom, you'll also need to create, when you download Discord, you're also going to need to create a username. Your username will be followed by a hashtag and 4 digits. Once you've created your account, you need to give your faculty advisor or head delegate your username. Once we have your username, we'll invite you to the COCMUN 2020 server. When you accept the invitation, we'll give you access to the server so that your team can practice using both Discord and Zoom. On the day of the conference, however, when you log into Zoom, you'll find yourself in a waiting room again, at which point you'll be contacted by the host. When you give them your COCMUN generated password, you'll be given access to the Discord channels that you'll be using for the UNSC. It's unfortunate that we have to go through all these security measures, but I'm sure you've heard about stories about Zoom bombing and things like that, and so we're trying to keep this as safe as possible. So please don't share your passwords with anybody. In Zoom, I want to talk about what's going to happen in Zoom, both in terms of the staff and the rules of procedure. There will be 2 chairs in the UNSC, a presiding chair and a managing chair. The presiding chair will be running the committee, basically what a chair would do in a regular conference, asking for and ruling on points of motions, calling on delegates for moderated caucuses, responding to parliamentary inquiries, things like that. The presiding chair will be visible on Zoom throughout the conference, except during suspensions of the meeting. The managing chair, that's what Cynthia is doing right now, will be controlling both the committee timeline and the timer on a split screen. The committee timeline is just basically going to be a record of everything that happens in committee, the points, the motions, the speakers list, etc., from beginning to end. The time will be used to keep track of speaker times and unmoderated caucuses. In terms of parliamentary procedure, they'll basically be the same as most Model UN conferences, except where we need to adjust them for the virtual setting. And in some cases, the adjustments actually make things easier, not harder. Now, when the conference begins, delegates will have their microphones muted and their videos off. So right now, what we're going to do is the delegates are going to turn off they're already muted. They're going to turn off their videos. When your committee session starts, this is what it's going to look like. The chair and the managing chair the managing may be present, the presiding chair definitely will. During roll call, the chair will call upon delegates to indicate their voting status, right? At which point delegates will unmute themselves, turn on the video, respond, then they'll mute themselves and then turn off the videos. When the chair asks for points or motions, delegates will use the raised hand function in Zoom to be recognized. This is the equivalent of raising a placard. Okay, if you're recognized by the chair, do the same thing. Unmute yourself, turn your video on, make your point or motion, mute yourself, and turn your video off. Right? Same thing when delegates are recognized for anything. The chair controlling the timeline will also have the timer on the screen. Now, pay attention to the timer. Since it might take a little while to unmute yourself and turn on the video, the chair will wait until you start speaking before starting the timer. If you start talking and you notice that the timer doesn't start, give a little bit of a pause, because managing this stuff online is a little bit difficult, and sometimes there's going to be a little gap between when you start talking. Don't just keep talking if the timer isn't going. But most importantly, because this is going to be different than any other conference you participated in, don't be afraid to ask questions. We'll be happy to answer questions. So here are some of the conventions we're going to be using on the committee timeline, and the managing chair will show you this. At any point in time when the chair asks for points or motions, you'll see the POMS right here on the screen, right? If a delegate motions for a moderated caucus, it'll begin with the delegate's country or character name, the length of the moderated caucus, and speaking time followed by a topic. So it will go something like this. I'm here now. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Now, at this point, delegates will raise their hands if they want to make a point or motion. If you look on the screen here, you can see Peru has raised their hand, Afghanistan has raised their hand, France has raised their hand. The way you can do this is by clicking on participants, and I'll show you that in a little later in this video. So I say, are there any points or motions on the floor? I see that the hands are raised. So I say, Afghanistan, you're recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. Afghanistan motions for a 5:30 on the status of refugees.
That motion is in order. Now, if you look down here where the managing chair is, the motion is written down just like that. When you see 5:30, that's what that means. A 5-minute moderated caucus, 30-second speaking time. Now, you can also just say a 5-minute moderated caucus with 30-second speaking time, or a 5:30, either one. Okay, so let's continue on. Peru, you're recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. Peru motions for a 6-minute unmoderated caucus with a 45-second speaking time on involving NGOs in resettling refugees.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to rule that dilatory. Unmoderated caucuses don't have speaking times. Would the delegate like to amend her motion to a moderated caucus, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you again, Honorable Chair, fellow delegates. Peru motions for a 6-minute moderated caucus with a 45-second speaking time on involving NGOs in resettling refugees.
That motion is in order. Now, you guys, we're going to approach any kind of like procedural problems like that. We're not going to be judgmental. We'll give everybody an opportunity. If they make a mistake, to go ahead and fix it. Things are going to happen. We're not going to worry about that. That's not what we're going to try and do. We're just going to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to learn, and we realize that this is an entirely new environment, and these kind of things are going to happen. Now, if a delegate makes a motion for an unmoderated caucus, it would look like this. So delegates, lower your hands. Are there any points or motions on the floor? Belgium, you're recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and fellow delegates. Belgium motions for a 10-minute unmoderated caucus.
Very good. And you can see written down over here, Belgium motioning for a 10-minute unmod. Okay, now, generally speaking, the motions are going to be written on the timeline, right, in the order received. Right? But if the chair decides to vote on the most disruptive motions first, the order will be changed. So right now, the motion was Afghanistan made the first motion, Peru, and then Belgium. But let's say in this case, I decide we'll be voting on these motions in the order in which they, in the order of most disruptive. In that case, the managing chair will change the order . Perfect. It'll look just like that, okay? That's what we're going to be looking for, right? Now, if a motion fails or doesn't receive a vote, that'll be designated with a strike through. So let's assume, I'll tell you what, instead of just crossing it out, let's uncross that, that's a strike through. But for the purposes of this, let's assume that the chair says, okay, delegates, we'll be voting on these in the order of most disruptive, starting with Belgium's motion for a 10-minute unmoderated caucus. All those in favor, we're going to be voting simultaneously. Now, just so you know, the way that we're going to be voting is if you look over here, if you click on participants, delegates have the ability to either click on yes, no, or more. So yes, we use to indicate that they're in favor of the motion. No, they oppose the motion. And over on more, if you see on more, there's like a clock, a coffee cup, clapping, thumbs up, and a thumbs down. It doesn't matter which one it is. You can use any one of the mores. So yes stands for yes, no stands for no, and more stands for I abstain. So what the chair would say is, we'll be voting simultaneously. Delegates, please vote now. Peru, there we go. Now, what's cool, I don't know if you can see it down here, but because instead of like doing it where you have to count the placards, right, down here in Zoom, it actually totals it for you. So the chair would see 4 people voted yes, nobody voted against, and 1 person abstained. This motion clearly passes. We're in a 10-minute unmoderated caucus. That's how that's going to work, right? In which case, if that passes, then the 2 motions for the moderated caucuses, they fail, so they would get a strike through. That's the approach that we're going to be using. Okay, so let me close that out.